Hey guys, this is Vadim with Max Tech, and right here in front of me are three M1 iPad Pros, the 11-inch right here with 8 gigs of memory, and two 12.9 inches, one with 8 and one with 16 gigs, but we're not gonna focus on that in this video. We're gonna put those off to the side and look at the mini LED displays later. In this video, we're focusing on the M1 iPad Pro versus the 2020 A12Z iPad Pro. We're gonna look at all the differences. We're gonna compare the FaceTime cameras because it is different on the new one. We're gonna look at the microphones, the speakers to see if they changed, and of course, the performance between the A12Z and the M1 to see how big of a jump there really is between these two. So I'm really excited for this video. So let's get right into it. Now, before we get started, I do wanna mention that the Magic Keyboard case fits both of them perfectly. There you go, there's the old 11-inch. And here is the new 11-inch. Perfectly fine, no issues with the Magic Keyboard case. So that's definitely nice if you already have the old Magic Keyboard case and you want to upgrade to the new iPad Pro. But for now, let's set this aside. All right, now starting on the back, you can see that they're basically identical. Obviously this one's space gray, this one is silver. We have that dual camera setup right there with the LiDAR scanners, the flash, and the microphone. Everything on the back is basically identical, but if you look at those speaker grills, you can see that there are less of them on the new iPad Pro, and they are closer to the center. That's gonna be nice when you're playing some games and holding it like this. You have less of a chance of blocking those speaker grills, so that's definitely a plus that Apple chose to do that. Now on the bottom, both of these have a USB-C port, but on the new M1 iPad Pro, you actually get Thunderbolt support, which means that you can plug in accessories like this SSD, the Sabrent Extreme Rocket SSD with very fast speeds, and we actually tested it and it works on this M1 iPad Pro. In the other video against the M1 MacBook Pro, we showed that off, so definitely check out that video if you haven't already. The first thing I really want to test is that new front-facing camera, so let's go ahead and go into the camera, set it to the reverse, and basically everything looks the same. I'm surprised because the quality between these two, even if you just look like this, the quality is matching on the new iPad Pro, even though this has an ultra-wide camera. Check this out. Boom, you can see my face. Let me do that meme. Look at that. That's actually so cool that you have that really wide sensor. I also want to show you guys the quality difference between the webcam and the microphones as well. And as you can tell, this is the 2020 iPad Pro, and this is a very, very tight shot. And now here we are on the iPad Pro. Obviously you're not going to use this mode, you're going to use the center stage mode, which will automatically kind of crop in and follow your face wherever you are. But man, the quality on this ultra-wide lens is really, really good, and you guys let me know how the microphone quality is as well. Now with that said, I want to test out the speakers to see if there's any difference in quality or volume with the new iPad Pro compared to the old one, so let's get right into it. To be completely honest, I didn't notice any difference, but maybe you guys did. And if you did, go ahead and comment down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe because we got those other iPad Pro videos coming up soon. Now let's finally get into the performance benchmarking and testing. And as you can see, we have Geekbench 5 opened up. And right here, you can see we have 6 gigs of RAM on the 2020 iPad Pro and 8 on the M1 iPad Pro. And you can see the ARM at 3.2 gigahertz, that's the M1, and the A12Z at 2.49 gigs. So let's go ahead and run the CPU benchmark. We have our scores, and I've got to say this is just insane because I don't know how Apple managed to put in this much performance into the same exact chassis. We have 1700 single core compared to around 1100. That's 53% more. And for multi-core, 7251 compared to 4724. That is also 53% more performance. That is such a huge difference. I honestly was not expecting that crazy of a difference. And now let's go ahead and go on to the compute graphics benchmark. Now this is what I did not expect The new iPad Pro with the M1 chip is 82% faster in terms of graphics performance. That's crazy. 21,500 compared to almost 12,000. I did not expect that big of a difference from generation to generation. Now moving on, we have a brand new test, Geekbench ML, which recently came out. So we're gonna be comparing this. We have the backend set to Core ML on both of these. All right, guys, we got our scores, and this is where the new 16-core neural engine in the M1 chip is being put to work. 2600 on the M1, 1300 on the A12Z. That's 95% faster performance for machine learning tasks. That's really, really impressive. Now moving on to the next test, I want to test out Speedometer. That's a web browsing test. So basically it's going to show you how snappy web browsing and things like that are going to be on these iPads. So let's go ahead and start. Look at that, 214 compared to 137. That's 56% faster general web browsing performance. So even though people say you can't get all of that M1 chip, you are definitely gonna notice a snappier experience when browsing the web and doing stuff like that. Moving on to the next test, we have 3D Mark Wildlife. So let's turn on the unlimited mode on both of these and start it. No way, guys, this does not make sense. I can't believe there's such a massive difference. We have 18,300 for the M1, 3,300 for the A12Z. That doesn't really make sense unless this is factoring in and taking advantage of everything, the CPU, the graphics, the 16-core neural engine. This is just crazy performance. On to the next one, we have GFXBench Metal. This is kind of like a realistic gaming benchmark. We're gonna load up 1440p Aztec Ruins high tier off screen. That's interesting. The iPad Pro, the M1, is loading a lot faster. So I think that has to do with the storage speed. So I guess that means that the storage is quite a bit faster than on the old A12Z iPad Pro. All right, it looks like the M1 iPad Pro got 82.2 FPS compared to 57.4, so that's 42% faster graphics performance in GFXBench Metal. And now finally, let's finish off with the most real world test that we can make. This is Adobe Rush, and we have the same clips with the same effects added, and what we're gonna do is basically just export it and see how much faster the M1 iPad Pro is. We have the same export settings. We got high quality, 24 FPS, 4K, and let's go ahead and export it. This is so weird, guys. We're approaching the finish. The A12Z iPad Pro just finished faster. That makes no sense at all. 95, 96% on the M1, 97, and done. That is so weird. The M1 was 12 seconds slower. I have no idea why, but maybe this shows that it's using the encoding chips that are built into these Apple Silicon chips. I have no idea, but it looks like for video editing, there's really not much difference. All right, there you guys go. That was the full comparison between the M1 iPad Pro and the A12Z 2020 iPad Pro. And apart from that weird video editing test, the new one is definitely much more powerful, much more snappy, and one thing is very clear. If you're gonna be buying this $800 iPad Pro, it's basically as future-proof as you're gonna get, because I can't see them coming out with a much better or much faster iPad Pro within the next couple of years. So if you buy this now, it's definitely much more future-proof, and I would recommend just going for the brand new $800 model instead of trying to find the 2020 A12Z model, maybe on sale or used. Definitely spend the extra cash, get a brand new M1, because this is future-proof, especially with that Thunderbolt port. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely click that circle button to subscribe to see our 8GB versus 16GB 12.9-inch iPad Pro comparison. And if you want to see some more videos, check out one of those two right there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.